Property reappraisals, taxes, they're on the top of our minds in Guilford County. The time to apply for the appeals, it is over. And guess what? Ben Chavis, Guilford County Tax Director, is here to tell us how many appeals.
Over 20,000, slightly.
Okay, that is even more than what you thought would be record-breaking.
Yes, it was. I am surprised.
Okay, so you got 20,000 appeals. There's a lot of people out there right now who said, I appealed, so when am I going to know something?
It may be a while. We're telling folks it may not be even this calendar year. It's maybe in 2027, but nevertheless, we are working on those. We've worked about 4,500 at this point, so we're approaching about 25% working those. So we feel good about the progress our appraisers have made and get going through the appeal process. Of course, the Board of Equalization Review is meeting. They'll start meeting on a weekly basis in June to hear all those appeals.
Okay, and that's for people to go past whether they didn't like what their appeal was sent back and they didn't like it, or what?
That is correct. They've gone beyond what the tax department recommended, and now they've gone to the next step, which is the Board of Equalization Review. And they have a set hearing where they just come and plead their case before the board, and the board rules right there in front of them their decision.
Okay, so that's key. So if you don't like whatever you get sent back later on this year, there is another step for people to take if they need to.
That is true.
Okay. All right. So again, it could be until 2027 when they find out, but the tax bills go out July 1st.
Right.
Or July, first couple of weeks in July.
So if they get their bill in July,
yeah,
and the board has not heard their appeal, what will transpire through that? If they go ahead and pay the property tax bill, they'll in essence get a refund on the back end if there's an adjustment of the value that is made.
When you say a refund, is that like till next year's taxes, or is that like a check with cash?
That will be on the current taxes.
Okay, but like if they
for 2026, when those bills come out.
Right, but if they like overpaid because their value got decreased, then you would give them a refund in a check?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. We want to make sure, because other people are like, does that mean that they hold my money? No, you give back the money.
That will show up on a monthly report for the commissioners to approve under general statute. So once we go through that process with the board, the board changes the value, then the board has to approve that refund under the general statute, and then our finance department will issue the check.
So for people who are like, okay, I can't believe it's going to take so long, there's like what, 5 people? How many people in the tax department?
we got an appraisal staff of 20 that have been working on this.
But even still, you're talking about 15,000 more appeals that have to be
worked through,
yes,
and putting those on the docket and scheduling that docket out for the rest of the calendar year. We're going to, like I said, we're going to start meeting in the month of June every week. That will help alleviate some of the stress. What we would encourage the public to do is, if things change, you don't want to appeal, no longer want to appeal, please notify us. We had a Board of ENR session today from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We had a lot of folks who did not show up and did not let us know that they were not showing up. So
okay.
that creates some pain for us, having prepared for their particular case.
All right, before I let you go, I need to know about the bill that's trying to make its way through the state lawmakers there that would put a freeze on property valuations.
Senate Bill 889 that got introduced a while back would have a tremendous impact on the tax department, not just the budget process, which is a whole set of dynamics that would be at play there with the budget. But from my perspective, we would have to revert back to the 2025 real property values, and it would cost the county a tremendous amount of money to do that.
And
we're talking in the millions, just impacting us.
Of course, there are people at home who are saying, yeah, but I would really like that 2025 valuation instead. But there's a cost for everything, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we'll just see what happens with that.
Right.
And every single tax department is like kind of waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen.
Well, there's only 9 counties at play. It started out with 12 with this legislation. It's been whittled down to 9, and we are one of those 9.
Okay, well, we thank you for coming in, for your time, for your expertise, and we'll look to see how the appeals process continues to go. Right now, we're going to send it off to Tim Buckley. He's in the Weather Garden.